Gotcha.
All right. And then I'll add a couple people in, and then Christopher, you have the floor.
Oh, thank you, Curling. Oh, good afternoon, everybody. All of our friends of Fōkcus, welcome back. And any newcomers to Facebook, welcome. My name is Christopher Morales. I'm one of the original student founders of the group, and I have the honor of presenting and introducing Dr. Rolanda Findlay, who is going to be telling us about the founder mindset and how to cultivate the confidence series. So, Dr. Findlay, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I wanted to say, first of all, thank you guys so much for having me. To be completely transparent, this is kind of like a dream for me. This is really where I feel like my journey has been leading up to. Just getting the opportunity to share my experiences in a very like authentic and real way. I am, as we'll discuss, incredibly passionate about supporting empowerment programs and supporting women and people of color. And when the intersection of women of color comes up, like these are just areas that really light my fire. And to get the opportunity to just take the experiences and the things that I've learned on my own personal journey and be able to kind of translate that and share that with the community that I already am so connected to and love. It's kind of like this magical moment of synchronicity and opportunity and goodness coming together for me. And so I was reflecting this morning, even before, having this talk about this is the manifestation. This is that, the things that I've been visualizing coming to pass, like being able just to come and share in the authenticity of who I am, like no uniform. I mean, there's a title in my name right there, but no title, just getting to be Rolanda and sharing my journey. And so I just want to say thank you all for being here. I think that it's kind of like a two-way street in terms of the vulnerability of me coming and sharing and talking with everyone, but also the vulnerability and the willingness of all of you to just listen and to be present and to engage with me. And so I just wanted to start and like set the stage right there, just with how grateful I am to be here and how excited I am for this opportunity. Also, I want to just kind of share my intention for the group is that I hope that in something that I share today, you'll walk away with feeling like you learned something or you grew in some type of way and really that you've gained something from this time. But I always like to put it out there that, take what feels right for you, take what resonates and what doesn't, no worries, right? And we'll have a space for, Q&A where you can ask questions. And if there's something that you want to dig deeper in and hear more about, totally open and available for that. Like this is my jam, right? Just being able to have like conversations and to share about what's happening in life and let's get to the real, right? And so kind of the way the format for today is gonna just kind of flow and run. We have some time constraints, but we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it happen. And so I'm going to start off by just introducing myself and sharing a little bit about me, because this is kind of our first time getting to engage with each other and kind of meet each other. So I'll share a little bit about my story and my background and what's brought me to this moment right now. And then I'm going to kind of lay the foundation and share a little bit about the series that we're going to kind of jump into together, where we're going to be talking about, cultivating confidence. We're going to get into the mindset. How do we build and develop that? And we're going to crush maybe some long-held beliefs that's just what the confidence you have is the confidence you have. You come into the world with it. It's a personality trait. And if you don't have it, then too bad for you. Like that's That's not what I've seen. That's not what I've lived. That's not what I've experienced. And that's not what my training has provided me insight on. And so there are a lot of like tools and tips that we're going to kind of get into, we're going to dig into and really get into the understanding. It's a practice. This is a practice, and it's something that's available for all of us. And regardless of where you are in this current moment, there's always space for growth, right? And so that's kind of what we're going to kind of outline. And so we'll talk more about what's going to happen in that speaker series, and then we'll have space for Q&A, where one of the things I want you to kind of think about as I'm chatting is, where are there spaces that what I'm saying really resonates? And it's kind of like, yes, more of that, more please. I'd like to hear more about that. And I'd also like for you to keep an ear out for spaces where it's like, I have a question about this, and perhaps it's in your wheelhouse for you to discuss that with the group, right? Offer that during the Q&A, because as we offer the 3 sessions, the series after this, I might be able to incorporate those topics in. I might be able to bring it in into the conversation. And if I can't, then I'll let you know and I'll connect you to somebody who can, you know what I'm saying? So with that, now that we kind of have an understanding of how it's going to flow, I'm going to start by kind of talking about me, which is a super fun topic for me, right? I'm going to talk about me for a little bit. So I do have a slide that I'm going to kind of do a little share my content with, just to kind of keep us grounded. And I've been told that people like pictures, so we'll see if that helps. Be patient with me as I do the screen share here.
Yeah, we could see it, Rolanda. Good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'll start by saying, this is like a really bold statement for me to say, but I'm owning it. I'm saying, I'm feeling really, really excited about it. But I am actually a founder myself. I am the founder of Follow Your Freebird, and it's right now a consultancy where I'm getting the opportunity to do what I love, honestly. And that's just sharing about my experience, my journey of tapping into my own personal creativity, my own story, my own voice, and finding ways to empower those that are around me. There is lots of offshoots within that. I'm doing consultant work, I'm doing writing, I'm doing workshops, and the theme that ties it all together is that I'm getting to connect with people, I'm getting to engage with people, and I'm getting to share what I've learned along the way, and I'm learning still in each of my engagements. So pretty awesome, pretty amazing, but I'm gonna be super transparent and honest in the fact that it took quite a bit of a journey to get to this moment, to be able to say that, like, I am an entrepreneur, I am a founder, I'm creating something brand new that didn't exist and is completely out of the box in the paradigm of what I was raised in and what I've seen growing up, and honestly, what I even thought was possible for myself, right? So living proof right here that it can happen. And sometimes we have to first see that and really embrace and know that to be true. So that's piece one. And so now just a little bit about how did I get here? So I am actually 3 months out of the Navy. So I was an active duty naval officer. I served for 10 years as an aerospace experimental psychologist, which is a super long mouthful. But essentially, I worked as a researcher to support naval aviation. And so for those of you that are not maybe as familiar with the military, naval aviation and what we are asking our aviators, our pilots, and our flight officers to do is like this incredibly intense career path and journey, right? And so when you think about, aircraft, you think about jets, right? That's easy for everybody to kind of connect to. And Navy, you think, okay, ships, aircraft carriers. And so just imagining, you know, the complexity, the risk, the challenge, the difficulty in landing aircraft, a jet, on a moving target, right, in the middle of the ocean, which would be the aircraft carrier, really intense, high risk, high stakes, high performance type of environments. And so for those aviators, the military is wise enough to understand they need all kinds of support to be able to execute that really intense mission, right? And so I was part of what we consider that support staff, right? And in that role, in that space, in that arena where I served for the past 10 years, I got a chance to really see hands-on all of the resources that are required to really support when we start talking about high performance. You talk high stakes, you talk about lots of risk. And so one of the things that we, without question, know is that to be able to perform at those high levels, confidence is a key predictor, right? It's a key factor in how an individual is going to be able to perform. And so in my experience, I was able to kind of realize and learn that, you know, that the assumption that sometimes we might have that confidence is just something that's baked in. It's either who you are or you're not, right? Or this idea of either you got the right stuff or you don't, right? I don't think that that is accurate. I don't think it's true. I think that it's something that's built. I think it's something that's learned. And even for my own personal journey, I've had to kind of build and learn that. And so it's kind of one of these things that I feel super passionate about, of bringing awareness to this and kind of sharing some of that insight. I feel like these are the kind of conversations that I tend to have behind closed doors with like my close friends, and where we get really honest and transparent with one another. And we say things like, man, I don't know if I can do this. In my role, for example, in the military, there were lots of times where I would be in a situation where I was the first or the one and only. So the first Black female AEP. It's a really small community, only about 30 of us active duty in the military. There's only been about like 170 of us since 1942 when the community was even founded, right? And so I would often find myself in rooms and spaces and places where I was the one and only, right? People didn't look like me. They weren't the same gender. They weren't the same race. They weren't in the same age bracket. And I had to really battle and work against a lot of feelings of insecurity and a lot of feelings of, do I belong here? And can I perform? And do I have what it takes? And so my personal journey of being able to build my confidence and recognize I do belong here, I have so much to offer, and my unique and distinct perspective is exactly what's needed for a time like this. And so that's what I got the opportunity to do while I was in the Navy. But there was always something that kind of was reaching into me that says, hey, I want to share what I'm learning. I want to share this insight, and I want to share it to the community that looks like me. I want to share it with those that might not have the same type of access. I feel like I've gotten a chance to really be in those rooms where it happens. I don't know, for anybody that's seen Hamilton, love it. And there's a number where they go and they talk about wanting to be in the room where it happens, to understand what's going on behind the scenes. And so part of my founder journey has been connecting to the fact that I do have a passion for sharing this information in specific settings where I think it could be of serious help, where this conversation may not be currently taking place, right? And so just to take you a step even before that, before joining the Navy, I actually, I went to school at Temple University for my undergrad. I went to graduate school at Virginia Tech. And during that time, I should also state this, I'm a first generation college student. My family is from the West Indies, so my mother's from Trinidad, and on my father's side, my grandfather is from Grenada. My grandmother is from St. Vincent. And so just a real understanding and appreciation for my family being, immigrants and coming to this country. And, I was always raised with the realization or the understanding that education was important, that this is the, country for opportunities. And, I was able to pursue and chase after that. I will say that I didn't always have like the blueprint or like the understanding of how to do that. But that's where I was always very grateful for enrichment programs and mentors and opportunities that really showed me the how. So when I was, ready to go to college, as a first generation college student, I didn't know the how to get that done, right? But I was able to participate in enrichment programs that kind of gave that blueprint. And the same thing for when I wanted to go to graduate school. It was like, I don't know about getting a Ph.D. I don't know that journey, right? But I was part of a program that gave me the steps and walked me through that. And so I'm super committed to that. I really believe that's a framework that I know has benefited me. And I think some of the lessons that I learned past that point is more not just the how in the sense of here are the steps, but the how in terms of in your mind, your mentality, right? How at this level. And so that was kind of, a step back talking about like my education and kind of where I started to first recognize, okay, enrichment programs, being able to share this information, pass on what I know, super important to me. Like I said, served in the Navy for 10 years. When I made the decision that I wanted to transition out of the military and use my skills in other arenas, I took the opportunity to work at an incubator for startup founders in Sarasota, 26 West, with the director, Matt Harper. And I was serving as a business coach and consultant, getting a chance to, again, use my skills in a different way. And I think that's when I started to really clue into the fact that all of the things that I've experienced personally in my own life and the things that I have experienced in the military are incredibly applicable to what we are experiencing as founders. And so I'm actually gonna click and stop sharing my screen so I can see everyone. Let's see if this works. Bear with me. There you go. Okay, perfect. I'm back. I felt like I was like in a little bit of a, hold on. There we go. There we go. I felt like I was on a little bit of an island. Okay, there we go.
You did it. I had faith in you.
I can see faces again. Okay, this works. And so, yeah, that's kind of like a little bit about my background. And that, I mean, we're limited in time, so I can't even dig but so deep. But that gives you kind of like the overview, right, of where I'm coming from and kind of what I want to share, right? And so now I'll talk a little bit about the series that we want to do and why that's important to me and what type of stuff we're going to cover right then. Right now I can get like more animated because it's like enough about me. Let's talk about the real. And so thank you for who just said, I'm awesome. I appreciate you. I appreciate that greatly. And so, yeah, in the series, we're going to talk about how we build and cultivate a practice of working and building our confidence. So one of the things that I can speak to, and I love the fact that I can speak to it more freely right now in my civilian attire, is that as we live in a system, right? We live in this larger society system, and whether that be the country we live in, whether that be the government, whether that be the military, whether that be your own individual job, we're all operating in these different systems, right? And for some of us, some of the messaging that is coming from some of these systems, we have been embracing it and hearing it for a really long time. And we may not understand or even be aware of how problematic some of that thinking may be. And so I'll speak from my experiences as a Black female. So, you know, coming up in my family, it was very constantly imparted and discussed from a loving place, right? This understanding that you're going to have to be that much better than, right? You're going to have to always be on your game. You're going to get one shot in this world if you're lucky. And when you get it, you better nail it because it's not going to come again, right? And so that made sense from the time period that they were teaching me from the pressures that were placed on them, right? But what it also did, right, is created this heightened sense of intensity and this heightened sense of fear and this heightened sense of scarcity and this heightened sense of, holy crap, I better be careful. I better nail it. I better do everything well. And what I've learned in particular in watching the performance, again, from high stakes, high risk environments is that crap does not work when you need to work under pressure, right? And I'm like, not even being dramatic, but if you are looking at what is going to make your performance, what's going to make you thrive, what's going to make you be able to show up and show out, you cannot come in there with all of that baggage. It doesn't allow you to move in the way that you need to move. And sometimes we're not even aware that this is the baggage that we're carrying, right? Because we're being taught, this is for my protection. This is going to make me stronger. This is how I've accomplished what I've gotten so far. And that's a belief that I was holding in really deeply, right? This is how I got to where I came from. This is me, a girl from Brooklyn who had a very chaotic, very traumatic childhood, but somehow made it through high school, made it through college, made it through getting a PhD, then joined the Navy, made it through this really just intense rigmarole, right, of all these hoops. And in my mind, it was like, we did that because we know I gotta stay at work till 10 p.m. at night and I gotta come hard and I gotta come strong. Well, correction, I was able to accomplish what I accomplished despite carrying all that extra baggage, not because of it. Right. And that's understanding that I was just being able to click into, right, just being able to learn and understand. And in those conversations behind the scenes, behind the curtain, I'm looking at my peers and recognizing you're not running with the same backpack on and the like loaded baggage that I'm running with. No wonder you're out here smooth and breezy and easy, right? Like I'm sitting here feeling sometimes halfway upset, like you seem unbothered. Why is that, right? And I started to recognize, let me stop being resentful, frustrated, and upset about why they don't have to run with this baggage, and let me learn how to put down this baggage for myself, right? And so that's what I want for us to discuss. Again, coming from the real, there's so many books and there's so many workshops and there's so many other resources that are available. And I say that because I am a purveyor of all those things. I love it. I'm a self-help person. I'm digging in. I go to my friends know I go to multiple workshops in a week just because I love that stuff. But I think one of the most powerful ways of engaging and learning is storytelling and really sharing our own experiences, because in that transparency, I think people are able to see themselves best. And so that's what I want this series to be. Yes, I'll give you resources. Yes, I'll give you stats. If you want, I'll put on my PhD cap and I'll give you all kinds of like research. And trust me, we can back it up for days. We can go into like who studied what and when. But we're also going to talk about the real, which is real experiences and what we're actually dealing with and how in practice, like in real practice, how do we overcome some of those hurdles and challenges that we may be facing. And so the first part of the series is going to be talking about that, right? Getting to those, they call them limiting beliefs, those narratives, right? That programming that may have been just inserted, right? And we might not, it was inserted so early that it's like, it's behind the scenes. We're going to go in there talking about this matrix and we're going to start trying to unpack it, right? Then we're going to move a step further as we talk about like, what are the tools that we can be using every day to kind of address this? And the reason, I know I'm like watching my time, okay. The reason why that's really important is because, so I've had the experience of leading, you know, teams and managing portfolios for like science and technology, research and development, where we were creating tools, like spending millions of dollars to create tools to increase efficiency, increase safety, increase performance, right? Amazing tools, fantastic tools. Us as individuals, average everyday citizens probably cannot spend millions of dollars trying to access tools to be able to increase our individual performance. True? So what I really love about this is that it is accessible, right? We all have a mind, we all have our own mind. And so being able to access this as a tool, that is empowerment, and that's freedom, and that's access for everyone, right? And so I'm all about leveling these playing fields. I'm all about giving like tools to, you know, increase efficiency. What are the shortcuts? What are the cheat codes? Where's the blueprint? And so as soon as we can tap into what's going on in our minds and understand the power that that holds and how we can make shifts that are going to like accelerate our performance on this whole other dimension, game change, right? So we're going to unpack that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to then talk about storytelling, right? Sorry. Is there a question? No? So then we're going to talk about storytelling and how we can use storytelling to be able to understand our own story, how we are able to look at the experiences that we've already had. We've already proven ourselves in so many arenas, in so many spaces. And so what we sometimes don't get a chance to do, or we're not often taught to do, is to recognize those, to put awareness on those, and to go ahead and tap into celebrating those wins. And so we're going to talk about how we can craft our own story in such a way that we can put that into our practice of building our confidence, right? When you have an understanding of who you are and you can look at your story and pull that out, it's beneficial in two ways. One, it allows you to have be grounded and centered and know who you are, but it allows you to communicate that to others. And that's incredibly important for us as founders, right? As a founder, you're coming in, you're creating a vision, you're creating something brand new. It hasn't existed before. So you have to be able to connect with and explain who you are and what it is that you're trying to build as you are garnering support. And so we're going to cover storytelling. And that's, to me, it's such a fun way to do it, but it's not something we're taught all the time, right? Because it's seen as like an art, and we want to focus on the science. We want to focus on the heart. And as somebody who's come from STEM, I get it, right? But when we ignore that element, again, free tools. This is about free tools and how we can connect to like accelerating and increasing our performance, right? And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is this whole different, like, it's a fun concept. I think it'll be a really fun thing to do. And it's going to be talking about the selfie pitch deck. And so literally this is a freestyle. We're like making this title up, but everybody on this call is probably really already familiar with the pitch deck and how that is a tool used to kind of tell the story of your business and your company, and it's to explain and help you to think through what it is that you're trying to create. And so the selfie pitch deck, right? The concept of the selfie is me taking a picture of myself, not someone taking a picture of me, but me taking a picture of myself. And so the selfie pitch deck is you creating a pitch deck about yourself. Right. And the reason why that is such an important concept, when I was working at the incubator, the director and I, shout out to Matt, we were having like so many really great conversations about how it's not often discussed and talked about with entrepreneurs, the importance of understanding who they are and communicating that to investors. Right? The focus becomes on, oh, this is my company and this is what I want you to know that I'm trying to do. And they don't realize that the investor is evaluating them as a person. You can be an entrepreneur with a crappy idea, but if they know that you can get the job done, you're resilient, you're efficient, that you can figure it out, they'll be like, that idea is not that great, but I'm going to keep them in mind because when the right opportunity comes, I'm going to connect the dots. You can then on the flip side be an individual that has this amazing idea, but if that investor doesn't have the confidence that you're going to be able to execute what you've laid forward, guess what? They're going to say, great idea, but no thanks. Because they might, and it might not even be that you don't have that skill set. You just might not even be tapped in and tuned into it. You might not be aware that the investor cares about who you are and how you're showing up in the room. So that's what we're going to connect the dots on. And so hopefully with this series, we'll get to tap into some things that are not as often discussed, right? Like these are things that I feel like are discussed in circles with friends, or maybe in, again, self-help circles, which I love. But I think it'll be a really cool combination to connect the dots and bring it to this particular forum, because we are already so driven and we are go-getters and we already have this vision of where we want to go. And so if there's something that can accelerate us and bring us to the next space, I say, let's do it. Yay. So I am going to, I know, like I feel like I was trying to race and get that timing going, but I think we're pretty close to what
you
I
did good, Rolanda.
Okay.
You did great. And I love how you were like navigating on your phone and all that. You were doing all kind of ninja moves. Good move on that. You know, the one thing I didn't initially tell you too is like, one, thank you for your service. Right. I mean, a lot of times we talk about different veterans and helping out even with VBI and stuff like that. But first of all, just thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support. Thank you for your support.
Ever since I've known you, even on helping with VBI, you've always been willing to serve in any way possible. And I definitely wanted the group to know about that, about your heart and all the different superpowers you have. You have tons. But I just want to just thank you for that. First of all, and in that way, I was gonna start off the Q&A, and you did a cohort. If you guys have some questions, you guys can put on chat, or you guys can unmute yourself. But I was gonna start off with Joanna. Joanna, you have a question for Rolanda off of some of these things.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
It's
actually, and if you guys see me writing, it's just because I'm taking like notes.
So I think it's not necessarily a question. I think it's so valuable to be vulnerable and to be able to talk about these things among founders, because what I've observed is that, you know, we all kind of have this, you know, I don't know, like imposter syndrome thing going on, you know, where we, you know, are not sure we can do it. And after you do it a few times, like it starts to feel better, but especially the first times you're doing it, you know, and I know I've shared with the group before, like I had trouble calling myself CEO. Like, yeah, I started this company, but like I never called myself CEO. And even though I was, and so I think I just, you know, I think it's great to have this conversation, and I'm glad we're taking the time to do it over a couple of episodes, because I think it's incredibly valuable. So I encourage you all to just, you know, dig deep and you know, be part of the conversation, because this is it's important work that we have to do, especially as women. And you know, and I can't lump myself in the people of color, but deep empathy.
Oh, I love that, Johanna. Seriously, I feel like, and I do like, you know, focus with like, you know, women of color, but as women, as people of color, and just human beings on this planet right now, like this is the type of resistance, like we are coming into the planet with that kind of resistance, that kind of energy that tells us that we're not enough, that we're not worthy, that we're somehow broken. And then we're on an uphill climb against it ever since. And then we don't talk about it, right? And so like Brene Brown, when she speaks about, shame and the fact that like it's most powerful when it's not discussed. And so I love that, validation, and I appreciate that yes, okay, we're gonna have this conversation. And I totally relate to not wanting to call, because I started my business, and it was
I even
like,
heard it here when you were talking. You're like, okay, I'm gonna own this, right?
That's right. In this moment, I'm a founder. I'm gonna say it, and it's totally that mental like jump across. Even before our call today, I was talking to my coach, and shout out to Sarah, love you. And I texted her and I said, Fōkcus has been amazing. They created kind of like a press, package that says like, I'm giving this talk today. And I was like, I had a choice. Do I share this on my LinkedIn? And at first I was like, no, because then more people will be there. I want this to be small and intimate. Pause. And then I said, nope, we're going to be willing. We're going to put ourselves out there, and we're going to share it, and we're going to put it out there. And then I had a good cry session, and we did it, and we're here. And it's like, that's the real of it. It's like, it's scary. And, even with all the, confidence we're trying to build, it's a practice, a daily practice. And so I'm excited. Thank you for that.
And you also said something else that I thought was really important about being the only one in the room. Like, and I certainly have been through that, especially if you're working in tech, or if in the military, or in some like traditionally like, medical field or something where it's really, it's been mostly men for many years. It can be pretty uncomfortable to look around the room and be like, wow, I'm the only one here, and I'm not exactly sure what's appropriate. And, and sometimes it feels like there's a club going on, and you didn't get the passcode. And that can be, really intimidating. And then sometimes, you respond as a woman maybe differently to things. And that can be, socially, it can be awkward for the people that are not used to having women in the group, and, and they're not usually real shy about pointing that out. So anyway, so I think, that point that you made about, just being uncomfortable, but owning it and working through it, and realizing that doesn't mean that you don't belong there. You don't have the right to be there. Like, all that's important. And it, and curling, you always share, having the plan, right? Like, that you're going to be the only person, you're going to be the only one, right? And so you have to think about that before you go in there, and sort of don't be surprised by it.
Yeah, I think I always, even when I was younger, I always visualized all that.
What's going to happen when this happens?
Exactly,
how am I going to feel when something, when this, like, think through it. Like, what are the things that can happen in this situation that might surprise me, and how can I be prepared for that? I think that's really valuable.
Yeah. It's funny. Even I was talking to Christopher earlier about like not using tech or something like that. I always like mitigate a lot of stuff, or visualize. Okay, well, the tech doesn't work. How am I going to handle that? Right? Like, there's always these things I always have visualized, and that's helped me out a lot as a founder. And I always the founders in our cohort say, "Curling, you're always we said pointing us out, or you're always putting us on the spot." I actually do that a lot because some of my mentors always did it. My dad would always do that for me, who put me on the spot and stuff. But it was in a loving way, because it's you're in an environment that's loving and supportive. Yeah. So when you're out in the real world, my dad wanted me to be able to like handle things on the spot. He wanted me to be versatile.
Now I know where you got it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I like how Chris said payback. You know what? One question I had offhand, Rolanda, you were talking about these different kind of tools, and you were talking about certain things offhand. The thing that Joanna put on her notes was like, she loves the whole selfie pitch deck, and we talked about that, the me file and things of that nature. Where did that concept come from? Because I was trying to look up some of that things, but I know we're going to go in that in a later episode. But I was just curious on that piece too.
Sure. Yeah. Like when I said literally made that up. So
Nice.
What happened is, and so I just want to first also shout out Nabil. Thank you for being here. Also a fellow naval officer, and so we served together at my last command. And so I know what I'm about to say he can relate to. And so he's still in service right now, but when we're transitioning out of the military, one of the things that's part of that journey, right, is to figure out how do you almost translate your experiences, what you've done, and who you've been in this one system back into the civilian world, right? And so there's a lot of like work and classes that we'll go to where they're like, create a me file, basically where you go through and you're laying out all of your experiences and, you know, lay it out with all your jargon. Like, this is what we call it in the military, right? But describe what that is. And they want you to like visually like look at, put it on paper, your accomplishments, your achievements, your awards, all of the roles that you've had, right? Because now you get to see the fullness, the breadth of like what you've actually done. And understanding now I have to translate that to an audience who may not understand how this is laid out in military terms, right? Our shorthand, our jargon, or this or that. And so working at the incubator, 26 West with Matt Harper, so he's also, he's a retiree from the Navy, also naval officer. And so he had to do that same journey, that same jump. And so I was there as I was going through my season of transition, and I'm creating my me file that I said, well, I'm going to make it a PowerPoint and I'm going to, you know, put all this stuff in there because that's how my mind works. And so as we were doing that, we're also teaching our founders about pitch decks and how it's a communication tool, and how really the first benefit of a pitch deck is that it makes you as the creator of the pitch deck think. Before you can put it on the actual pitch deck, you have to answer the questions for yourself. So you have to think about what is the problem that I'm solving with this company? Who are my competitors? What is going on? You have to think about those answers and then lay it out in a way that's concise, brief, quick, makes sense. And so that idea of a selfie pitch deck really just became at that intersection of learning about pitch decks and their purpose, and learning about the fact I got to figure out how to retranslate my skills to the world, right? And then realizing I need to create a pitch deck about me. And so that's honestly where it came from. But then the value of it in our conversations about it further was like, this really is a useful tool, because it's not so much about showing it to somebody else. It's about giving you the clarity to be able to present yourself. You gotta first know who you are and what you're trying to do, and then it will show up when you're presenting it to other people. And back to that point about investors are investing in the founder, and that's sometimes a nuance that is missed, right? And so people are thinking, well, then I have to present in this particular way. And kind of to Johanna's point, right, this idea of stereotypically in our culture, confidence has been presented in a particular way, right? We're gonna dive into that understanding and unpack the fact that that's not what the investors are looking for. It's not this stereotypical bravado or this stereotypical thought of this is the way I need to appear, right? It's being able to tap into and present the moments, the times, the experiences where you have already illustrated, demonstrated resilience. You've illustrated and demonstrated being able to figure it out, being able to bounce back, being able to work with, you know, unusual tools to create something, to be innovative, and to be someone who thinks outside of the box. I mean, don't even get me started. But yes, that's kind of how that's how the whole thought of that came to pass, like doing the selfie pitch deck.
No, that's great. That's great. And I think Nabil, I think you had your hand up.
I did.
You unmute yourself. Yeah.
Bro, I am so happy that you did put it on LinkedIn, because that's the only way I found out about it. And as soon as I saw your name and you put something, I was like, I'm in. I'll find I'm in the PhD program right now, and I was like, I'll find time. I'll do what I got to do to stay up late. But I really wanted to sit in and just, I know everybody in this group probably knows how wonderful you are and what a strong leader you've been. And through, I mean, I was so blessed to have crossed paths with you in our service, and I can't express enough how impressive you are and what a wonderful mentor you were to me. And I'm really saddened that I'm losing a sister in service. I had hoped that we were going to cross paths a little more often in service, but I'm so glad to see that you're doing something so wonderful, and I think it's going to be such an impact that you're going to make in people's lives, and I can't speak highly enough to that. And I just wanted to say that you know, I'm 100% behind you, and I'm sorry that I haven't been able to get in touch with you. I know we talked a little bit, and we said, hey, you know, like, you know, I saw Ro is leaving, like, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, she's obviously doing this to better people's lives in a different way. So I'm so happy to see that I'm getting to see a little bit of your mission here, and I look forward to kind of being on this journey with you. As you know, I'm probably gonna be in for a while. They got me, you know, the Navy's paying for the PhD, so they're gonna get their juice, so to speak. So I'm gonna be in here for a little bit, but I'm looking to you to kind of set the path for, you know, like I said, what I want to do after as well. So I'm hoping that I can follow your journey and use that as a blueprint to continue my own. But I'm just wanted to say that I'm so happy that you're doing something that you're passionate about. And having been in leadership training with you, I know you're going to do amazing things, and you're a phenomenal leader. And I'm just excited to see your growth. So thank you.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for that. Like, that is everything. Everything. Like, just that moment right there is like everything. So, oh my God. Thank you so much for all of that affirmation, validation, and just, oh my gosh.
You deserve it all.
Thank you for
You
seeing
deserve it
me.
all. Everybody, I'm sure, in this phone call can attest to the fact that you really do. But
y'all better stop. Listen, I'm gonna have to.
That was a great moment, Nabil. That was great. I was there. I was listening in.
I can't tell you guys enough how just a phenomenal, being a naval officer, kind of, and I've had outside experience, but having been with her for 2 years at BUMED, where she was just this positive, motivating person who every time I saw Ro in the POA, it's like smiles and bubbles, and somehow you're able to take somebody who's having a really crappy day and just be able to put a smile on our face. And if that's not powerful in the Navy alone, let alone out in the outside world, I don't know what is. And you are truly an infectious leader. You're born to do this. And I'm so happy, like I said, to kind of see this part of you. And I know all of us wish you us best. You know, Temi, I speak for Temi, I speak for Nadej, all of us that are in the Navy side of the house that are still active duty. We are so thrilled for you, but we're really saddened. We're more sad than we're thrilled, because we're missing such a critical leader in our organization now, because you're leaving. But like I said, we're also very proud of you and happy to see that you're doing something so momentous.
My gosh. Literally, I have no words except for like, thank you, and we'll always be family. So that's all that I'm gonna say on that.
You're my sister from another mister for life. Don't forget it.
Facts. Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's great. That's great.
Oh man.
On that note, Rolanda, any final thoughts before we go to we're going to do this kind of little speed network, just a little 5-minute speed network though, but any final thoughts you want to tell the group?
Listen, I feel like I don't have any more words. I don't have any more words except to just say I'm truly grateful for the experience to be here today. I really do hope that something either that I said or that somebody else has said has connected and tapped into you know, the fact that we are connected. Like, we literally are all connected, and this is the kind of energy that we can continue to share with one another. And so I hope that during this series, we get to, you know, really dig deep and find those additional ways to connect on that human level and empower one another and strengthen one another and support one another. Because I mean, imagine a world, right? Now this soapbox moments, but imagine a world where this is the type of energy is the norm. This type of like giving, supporting, just nurturing, cultivate, like this is the norm, right? And so we get to be that change. We, each one of us individually, we contribute to being that. And so thank you for letting me be that with all of you today. And let's do this for, 3 more sessions.
Right.
Let's keep it going.
Let's keep it going. And I'll we're gonna have other groups that want to join up too, but I wanted like this part to be somewhat just our cohort and part of these things here. I know I have like Adam, and I had some other groups that are gonna be coming on the Zambia group too, but just thank you so much, Rolanda, for all your wisdom, and even just talking to me the last couple of days and just on what the series could look like, and just some of the things that I've been seeing with all of our cohorts, that they actually do need that at Boost of Confidence, but more importantly, just some of the tools that are needed, right, as founders. So just appreciate you. We'll close out.
Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. And so
yeah.
I do believe that it's really important. I know I talked about this, like tools. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm gonna give us at least one. This is I'm a Virgo, so we like homework. So I'm gonna pass out some homework. And what I think, so I'm a writer. I love writing, and I think that if we don't have a journaling practice yet, I'd love for us to get one. And so you can get any kind of like notebook. I like to get pretty ones, but I mean, it could be small, it can be big, it doesn't matter. But I like to encourage all of us to connect with a pen and to connect with a journal of some sort. And listen, when we talk about a person that loves journals, I mess around and have journals like everything. Okay, so journaling is a really powerful tool, and we'll get into that, but that's another one that's super low cost. I mean, I like this pen, but 25 cents for a pen. You can get a notebook from Dollar Tree, like very affordable ways to be able to like connect with that. So what I'd like to encourage us all to start is just to get a journal. And we're going to start super basic. The first assignment is to just start thinking about your founder journey. And I just want you to start thinking about moments that have happened to this point that have either reassured you, that have kind of stood out to you as a moment of connection, whether it's a person that you met, whether it's a example that you saw, whether it's something that just sparked for you. And I want you to just kind of start writing about it. It doesn't have to be complete sentences. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. No one is going to read it, right? I just want you to start the practice, because in our session, we're going to talk about that more, but this is just that first step. It's free, it's easy. And so you're just going to write about in your founder journey, what are some of those, whether they're moments of connection, moments of a light bulb going off, moments of affirmation, moments of validation. Please believe today's experience is going, I'm giving this several pages in mine, okay? But you can feel free to write one sentence. You can feel free to write a whole page, whatever resonates and feels right for you. So that's one tool to kind of get us started. And if you want to add to that, for those that are down for bonus, okay, we'll talk about gratitude practices and really connecting with perspective and how you see things. And so super easy one, super easy, is 3 things every day. 3 things that you're grateful for. We can always look at things from the glass as half full or half empty and what we're missing out. But if you look at it from, okay, this is half full, and these are the 3 things that I'm excited for today or grateful for today. That's, again, just something to practice. Do that every day before we meet again.
All right, that sounds great. I knew you said about homework, so I was giving that final thoughts. We talked about that yesterday. Okay, so I'll close that out now. Thank you so much, Rolanda. Thank you, cohort. We just appreciate everybody. And I'll close out the session now. And then what we'll do is I don't know, Rolanda, you were part of it last time, but the main thing is that We always do these kind of speed networking, just about 5 minutes if you want to hang around.
I'm here.